Hi, I'm Kelly with citruscycles.ca. I'm here with the Bulls 650 EVO. I've got the AM2, the AM3, and the AM4. They're all full suspension electric mountain bikes powered by the Botch CX drive. We've got the integrated Botch power tube, it is removable, and the Purion display. They all have 150 millimeters of travel and plus size tires. All three of them are super fun to ride. You can find the detailed specs, the current pricing, you can even order online if you wish, over on our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find our contact information, so if you have any questions, or if you'd like to book an appointment to try them here in Ladysmith, or take advantage of our Try at Home program, you can find all the details on that, including our contact info, at citruscycles.ca. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the differences between these three different models. I will talk about some of the common features, and I'll take you on a ride test as well. So let's start out just by mentioning, the frames are very similar, the batteries, the motor, and the display are all the same. Each model is available in 3 different sizes, and they all take advantage of the really cool Monkey Link system. So the Monkey Link system, we have a Monkey Link stem. What that means is this actually has a magnetic attachment system that provides power to various devices. So for example, Supernova makes, this is just a reflector by the way, that's not that exciting, but Supernova for example makes 2 different lights that basically magnetically clamp, and then there's another little hook to really secure it, and that grabs the power from your battery, so it's powered by the bike. And on the seat post clamp here as well, we have the same thing. This is just a little magnetic reflector, and it shows you that this is a magnetic system with a clamping system to hold, say, a rear light. Lots of different Monkey Link accessories. I apologize, I'd hoped to have some to show you for the video, but I don't. I didn't want to hold up production on the video while I got those accessories in. But if you check online, you can see all sorts of Monkey Link accessories. One of my favorite features is a magnetic fender. So that's super awesome because we get a lot of rain around here in the winter, and it's nice being able to just easily throw your fender on, take it off when you don't need it, and you can get a fender that actually has a rear light in it, so that if you're riding to the trailhead like I do, you've got that visibility for on the road. And again, it's running from your main battery, so you're not having to worry about charging it up, which is really awesome. Same with the front. I love that ability to add a front light, having it run off of your main battery. So that's common to all 3 bikes. You do have the Monkey Link system, which is really innovative. I'm really excited about it. They also have the Botch power tube battery here, so that battery is actually integrated into the frame. I'm going to grab the key to show you how the battery system unlocks. Okay, so I've grabbed the key, and I am going to talk in more depth towards the end of the video about the Botch system and the Botch CX drive, but I just wanted to point out the battery integration here. It's a really beautiful looking integration. It's much smaller, in my opinion, than the Shimano Steps integrated battery. If you look at some of the other bikes that have the Shimano Steps and the integrated battery, it's a much bulkier down tube. This is really quite small. And the second thing I really like about the Botch battery system compared to any of the other integrated batteries is when I unlock the key here, the battery isn't going to drop to the ground. There we go. I unlocked it, the battery moved slightly, but it's not coming out. It's secure in there. It's not going to drop to the ground. Most other battery systems, you turn the key and poof, you got to be ready to catch that battery, which can be tricky, especially with one hand like I'm trying to do right now while I'm filming this. So the next step is there's a little button in here. You push down on that, and that releases the battery, and now the battery comes out. So it's really a brilliant system from Botch. I love the way that they've handled that. This is also really interesting in that, and by the way, this actually is a Botch specific battery. It's not from Bulls. This is made by Botch. It's standard. So all Botch power tube bikes use one of 2 battery formats. Most of them are using this one. That tells you that you're going to be able to get spare and replacement batteries well into the future, because you're not relying on Bulls, and I'm not questioning Bulls' commitment to spare batteries, but I know that because Botch is making this for so many different manufacturers, they have a commitment to making sure that you can get this battery well into the future. It's also easily serviceable by any Botch service centers. We've got 2 of them here in Canada, which is great. We usually have spares of these. The Botch system, it's so ubiquitous. It's great to be relying on such a reliable reliable system that you know you'll be able to get parts for, and I really like that about this particular bike. So Bulls has integrated their own aluminum cover here. You can see we've got 2 bolts up there and 2 bolts back there, so it looks beautiful. Let me put it back in the frame here, and you can see it's a beautiful integration, easy to get back in and out, by the way, and it locks right in there if I don't have the key in. So I'm in that first position now. Take the key out, there we go, and locks right in. So you can see it's a really nice looking integration. We've got some good protection on the battery here. The downside to that is if you wanted to bring a spare along, you're kind of left with the question of, okay, when I swap out the spare, am I using a screwdriver here to take the plate off and put it on the spare, or am I going to ride without the plate and just, you know, be aware that if I'm riding in really wet and muddy conditions, I might get some mud up into the down tube here that I'd have to clean out after a ride. So that's just you know, something to keep in mind compared to, say, a power pack like the Moustache uses, where they integrate the power pack into the frame. You can check out my videos of that on our website, and you'll see the power pack is a little bit easier to bring as a spare. It's got a carrying handle, but the battery itself, as you saw, is also aluminum, so I would suggest that even without the plate on, you know, it's going to be fairly strong. So the Bosch power tube system is really beautifully integrated into these bikes. Okay, so let me walk you through the differences between the bikes. As I mentioned, they all have 150 millimeters of travel, so lots of travel. These are really serious trail-oriented bikes. You can really throw a lot at these bikes and they handle it really well. So I've got the AM2 here. That's kind of this orangey red color, and it has what's branded as a Bulls Litro fork on the front. It's actually a Sun Tour fork, it looks like, and it's part of their Ion series. So it's a very good, well-respected fork. We've got a through axle on here. Again, that 150 millimeters of travel. On the back, we have the RockShox. This is a Deluxe RT. We, of course, it's an air fork, both front and rear on all 3 bikes, so you can adjust the air according to your weight and preference. We have a rebound adjustment and lockout here, as well as on the front. This is actually, the AM2 is the only one that actually also comes with a remote lockout on the front fork here, so you can depress that, and to release it, this is actually kind of cool. Take your finger, move that, and that unlocks it. And so you've got the remote there, you've got the air as well, just like all the rest of the forks. And the frame design on all 3 also has this really cool protector here for the stanchion on the rear shock, so that keeps all the mud and debris from it, which is really great. Let's move over to the AM3. That's the yellow one here, and you can see we're moving up now to a RockShox Yari. Again, a through axle, still same travel, no remote lockout, but we have a little bit more adjustability with the compression here. And on the rear, we're moving up to a RockShox Deluxe. Oh, it's actually not moving up, it's the same RockShox Deluxe RT shock on the back, and again, that protector there. Now, when we head over to the AM4, this is a big step up. This is the Fox Factory 36. So we've got the Kashima virtually friction-free coating both on the front fork here and on the rear shock. We've got lots of adjustability with the rebound here. Same with the front on the Fox float. And yeah, here we've got it here with firmer and lots of adjustments. This is an incredible suspension. You can tell, you know, if you just come and you sit on the bike. You don't even have to ride it, you just sit on and go, ooh, that's nice. And then you take it for a ride and you go, wow, that's really nice. So it's definitely, to me, one of the big highlights of the AM4 is that upgraded Fox Factory 36 suspension. Some of the other differences between them would be the drivetrain. So we go to the AM2, and really, I don't want to give you the impression that the AM2 is, you know, not very good. It's a fantastic bike. It's a super great value at that price. And the things I'm pointing out to you, they're all still really high quality, but of course you can always spend more and get better quality components and that sort of thing, and that's what we're looking at between the 2, 3, and the 4. So on the 2, we do have the Shimano Dior, and it is a 10-speed. When we move up to, and you can see when we look at the size of the cassette on there, we've got these massive climbing gears on the 3 and on the 4. So on the 3, we're now an 11 speed, and it's the Dior XT, which is a step up from the Dior, and of course that extra gear and climbing gear. And when we go to the AM4, now we're going to XTR, and wow, when I did the test ride on this, it was really nice. Really smooth shifting, and of course again we've got that massive climbing gear, which is great. The saddles are different as well. On the AM2, it's a Bulls branded saddle. No other branding on it. Usually they're made by Soleil Royale, and it's doesn't have a name, just Bulls. If we move up to the, and it's a good saddle. It's got lots of gel in there, so it's fairly comfortable. We move up to the AM3, we get a Soleil Royale Rampage saddle, which is a really great saddle. And when we go to the AM4, they put a Physic Gobi, which is specifically designed for EMTBs for riding. We've got a little bit of a rise in the back there, so you're not falling off. It's on the steep climbs. It's a really nice saddle. I really enjoyed riding it. Rims, between the differences between the rims, the AM2 and the AM3 do use Bulls 35mm rims. They are tubeless ready, and looks like we're Bulls branded hubs as well. When you move up to the AM4, and you'll notice on our website, the AM4 is, you know, quite a bit more expensive than the 3, and certainly that Fox factory is part of the reason for the price difference, but also these are the DT Swiss EMTB specific H1700 spline hubs and wheel sets. So the rims and the hubs, these are actually designed specifically for electric mountain bikes. So DT Swiss looked at this market segment and went, wow, you know, there's a lot more torque. People are riding their EMTBs a lot harder. The bike is heavier. We need to design something that's really going to last. And so if that's what they've done with this new system specifically for mountain bikes, for electric mountain bikes, sorry. Super reliable, long-lasting, incredibly durable, really fun to ride as well. But you know, really what you're paying for with that is that longevity. And I have had customers that ride their electric mountain bikes pretty hard and have had to replace hubs and components like that because they are just riding a lot and really hard. And so this to me is worth the investment if you're riding a lot, because it is going to stand up really well. I'm really excited about this DT Swiss system. Any of the reviews you look at, it's an incredible system, really long lasting. While we're down here, I should mention we've got 203mm rotor on the front of the AM4, and it is a quad piston brake, both front and rear. Actually no, sorry, just on the front, not on the rear, but they are the new Magura MT Trail. So we've got the quad piston brakes up front, super strong, lots of stopping power. You're not going to run into fading problems with those. Even the AM2 and AM3 still use great brakes. We've got the MT5s up front, again quad piston, and 180mm rotors front and rear, and then the MT4s on the back, which is a single piston, which really is all we need on the back. So all three bikes have great braking systems, but again, a nice upgrade on the AM4. To kind of give you a clue as to how they envisioned the AM4 being used, you'll notice that Bulls put the Magic Mary on the AM4. This has the Schwalbe Addix soft compound, so it's a really very aggressive tire, aggressive tread pattern, soft, very grippy compound, although this new Addix compound from Schwalbe is lasting quite a bit longer than the previous compounds, even with the soft. When we go to the AM3 and AM2, we're looking at the Knobby Nick, which is a great tire. It's just not quite as aggressive as the Magic Mary, and they're using the I think they're using the speed grip. That's what the blue line is indicating here. Yeah, it's their speed grip, which is a good combination of durability, speed, and grip. And over with the Magic Mary, they're really focused on grip. So this is a bike really designed for hard trail riding, and it's going to last for many years, no matter how hard you ride it. So That's kind of the main differences between the 2, 3, and 4. All of them have these, what we would call tester pedals. So they're pedals that get you started on the bike, but you're probably going to want to change them. Maybe to a nice wide platform pedal with pins or something like that. But of course, you know, that's always a personal preference, so it's hard for a manufacturer to choose what pedals to put on, so they just put something in to get you started. Oh, hey, I forgot to mention about the Monkey Link system at the beginning, sorry. All 3 bikes have a mounting point here for the Monkey Link water bottle, which is really cool. It's a cageless design. It sticks on there. It is magnetic as well. You just give it a twist and it comes right off. Again, there's some video reviews on that online. I apologize I didn't have one for this video, but it's very cool. And that's one of the advantages of the power to battery integration, is it does allow you to put a water bottle cage on, which is often hard to do with a regular electric mountain bike because of the battery being in the way. Another interesting thing, we actually have a kickstand mounting point on the rear on all 3 bikes. This is I think it's a KS40 standard, so any KS40 compatible kickstand should work there. It's a bit of a surprise because it's unlikely that you'll want a kickstand. Grips are a little bit different between 3 bikes. I forgot to mention that. Here we've got a kind of a slightly ergo grip. They are locking, which is great on the AM2 and the AM3. On the AM4, we're upgraded to these Ergon GD1s. Really interesting grip. Actually, it's locking as well. It's got a little bit of a lip here, and underneath we've got a different tread pattern. Well, I guess not tread pattern for grips, but a different pattern on the grips. So that, again, a nice little upgrade, although these ergo grips are quite comfortable as well. They all have the slap guard on the chainstay, which is great as well. And of course they all have the dropper post. This is a nice stealth post. Wiring is integrated into the frame, and really the wiring is nice and clean. You can see everything's kind of dropped into the head tube here and through the frame, and really a beautiful integration on the bike. And we've got the remote over here for the dropper post. So while I'm up here, let's talk about the Botch system. We are using the Bosch Purion display, which is a very compact display, more crash resistant than the larger Intuvia display that mounts up here. So it's kind of out of the way, all in one. It's not removable, so you don't have to worry about it being stolen. And really simple, we've got the speed, your current level of assistance, and the battery. Down here we can actually cycle through what we see. So instead of seeing the level of assistance, if I press and hold the minus, I can look at my trip distance, I can look at the odometer of the bike, and I can look at my range. And I love the range calculator feature because it is going to show you, based on the last few kilometers you've ridden for each level of assistance, how much further you can go, and that dynamically adjusts as you ride and as you change your levels of assistance. So let me go back to now, I'm just showing the level of assistance that I'm in. Oh, and by the way, if you do get the Monkey Link system and have a light up front, just press and hold the plus button. That'll activate the lights, but of course I don't have lights installed, so nothing will happen. And I can also reset my trip data if I wish by pressing and holding the plus and the minus together, and that will reset my trip data. Let me go over to the trip data first. There we go, press and hold reset, says reset, it's reset. There we go. And the bike also has walk mode, so you can press and hold the walk button under here on the display. It will say walk plus. That's your visual reminder that now what you do is you press and hold the plus button, and that is going to activate the walk mode. So watch that the crank arms and the pedals will turn, of course, when you're in walk mode. Okay, so as you've kind of seen, for the levels of assistance, you've got the plus and minus here. You've got off, eco, which gives you minimal assistance, about 50% of your input power. And by input power, I mean the fact that the Bosch system is sensing your torque, that is how hard you're pedaling, your cadence, that is how quickly your legs are moving, and the speed of the bike, there's a speed sensor back here, 1,000 times per second. So it's essentially reading your mind. And so when you're on eco, it's figuring out what you're doing and giving you 50% of your input power. Tour is 120% of your input power. That's what more people ride on. It's a nice level of assistance. But on the Emt-B, on the electric mountain bikes, a lot of people love this Emt-B mode. So Bosch designed this as a dynamic adaptive mode that basically is paying attention to what you're doing and matching that. So because it's sensing your torque, for example, and it is very torque based, when you start pedaling really hard because you've got a hill coming up, you start hammering down on the pedals, it knows you're working hard, it gives you more power, moves you up to basically turbo, so 300% of your input power. You get to the top of the hill and you ease off on your pedaling, then it brings the assistance down to, say, tour, or kind of somewhere in between tour and turbo, depending on how hard you're pedaling. That's really great for technical riding, because now you just set this on Emt-B and you forget about it. You can just leave it and just ride and enjoy the ride, not have to worry about adjusting the levels. It's really great. If you don't like it, you can actually have us reprogram Emt-B mode to just be another level between tour and turbo called sport. But for trail riding, it's fantastic to have. And as I mentioned, the Botch system is very responsive because it is doing those 1,000 calculations per second. So that means the CX drive is super, super responsive. As soon as you put some force on the pedals, you're going to get the assistance that you need. So you can stop in the middle of a hill, get going again, no problem. So you've got high torque, very responsive. It actually will activate at very high RPMs, unlike a lot of other drive units. One of my other favorite things with the Botch system is it does have shift detection. So when you shift, it momentarily cuts power to help prolong the lifespan of your drivetrain, because of course that can be pretty hard on your drivetrain. We do also have a bash guard here, aluminum bash guard, which is great, color keyed to the bike, as you can see, which is really cool. And Bulls does this neat thing where they tilt the motor up rather than keeping it parallel to the ground, and that gives you increased clearance as well. So I really like the way that Bulls has integrated, you know, the battery and the drive unit into the bike. So hopefully I've covered all of the details of all three models, giving you an idea of the differences between them. The question then maybe become, you know, is it worth going from the 2 to the 3 to the 4? You know, what should I go with? If you don't have a lot of hills and you didn't want to spend a lot of money, the AM2 is a fantastic bike. I mean, it's a really good value, great quality of components, you know, but it just doesn't quite have the same ability for hill climbing because of the 10-speed and the smaller cassette. And so if you live somewhere like here in Ladysmith, where we've got some really big hills, for me, I would probably, you know, go up to the AM3 with the larger climbing gear. It's nice to go with the RockShox, but, you know, you're not going to really go wrong with the AM2. Just nice to have some of those, that extra climbing gear on the AM3. Between the AM3 and the AM4 is a bigger jump. Is it worth it? For sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely. You just have to come and try it back to back, try the AM4, the AM3, the AM2, and it's immediately apparent that the suspension, for example, on the AM4 is incredible. So if you don't mind spending more, yeah, it's worthwhile getting the upgrade. If you're not keen on spending more and thinking, is it worth the investment? If you ride a lot, if you ride hard, yeah, definitely having, I would pay the extra just for that DT Swiss wheel set, because it's going to last a lot longer. If you're riding really hard, you're not going to have to be doing as many replacements. I love having the upgraded brakes. I mean, just there's so many nice upgrades on it that it's definitely worthwhile considering. Now, are you missing out if you decide not to invest in that and go with the AM3? Certainly not. The AM3, the AM2, fantastic bikes, lots of fun to ride. They all have 150 millimeters of travel, so they're all very, very capable. And you know, you just have to kind of decide what price point you want to be at and go from there. So for any questions, head over to our website at Citrus Cycles. You'll find our citruscycles.ca. We're based on Vancouver Island here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. You're welcome to come try them, set up an appointment to try them out, or take advantage of our Try at Home program. So I have here the Monkey Link fenders. So we've got the rear fender here. You can see it's got a light built in, which is really cool. And that light actually runs right from the battery on the bike. So if I turn the bike on and turn my lights on, you can see they came on automatically because I had them on last time. Nice bright LED there to keep you safe if you are riding on the road at night or even during the day. Nice and bright even for daytime. And that's great because a lot of times I tend to ride right to the trailhead from my house. So I am on the road and I want to be safe, so that light does that for me. You can see the fender's a bit dirty here because I actually have been testing it. Works really, really well. You can see it gets a little bit wider at the end here to really catch what's going to be flying up from the tire onto your back. We've got an adjustable angle on here. This bike has 150 millimeters of travel. It's the Bose EVO AM4, and so I needed to get that fender really a lot higher than the tire, of course, because of the suspension. So it's nice we've got 2 points of adjustability here. We can adjust the angle coming off the back, and then we can adjust the angle of the fender as well. Now, mounting and releasing, I've never found an easier fender than this. This is incredible. To release it, you just pull back on the gray tab there and slide right off. So it is magnetic, and it's also grabbing the wiring or the power for the light right from the bike motor. I don't have to recharge the light or anything like that. To mount it, it's pretty incredible. Just get it close enough there. The magnet's going to grab it and clips it in right away, and then that locking mechanism locks it. So it can't be removed unless you actually pull back on the gray tab here to unlock it. So I did some really, really rough trail riding with this on the weekend. Fender was super, super secure, didn't hear it at all, which is great. And that's all part of the Monkey Link system. So you do need this Monkey Link clamp. Let me pull this off again. Again, just slides right off. It's incredible. This is a seat post clamp with the Monkey Link system. If your bike came with it, then all you do is you buy this fender set and you just put it right on there, and it clamps right on and locks in. If your bike doesn't have this, we should be getting these in from Germany, and so then you can actually replace your existing seat post clamp with this one, and then you'll need to wire it into your Bosch drive unit. Up front, I've got the front fender here. This is also magnetic. Nice adjustable angle here as well. I had to adjust that because of the down tube angle here, so that's really nice. Very secure. It's also magnetic, so to release it I have to press the gray button here and then give it a bit of a tug because it is magnetic, and putting it back in, just slide it in there and then it locks back in. So it's very, very stable. I also was trying out the light. As you can see, it's a bit dirty, super bright, same idea, very, very secure right now. But as soon as I pull on those gray tabs, see that tab right there? Yep, pull that, pops right off, magnetic. And of course it is using the power from the bike to mount it. Just slide it back on again. It just slides right on and clamps in right away. So super easy to mount and to take off. We've got a bolt underneath here. Pull it off and show you that you can use to adjust the angle. Because it's a bolt, you can get that nice and tight so that you're not worried about it flopping around on the trail. It's going to shine exactly where you want it to. Or if you leave it a little bit loose, you can adjust the angles. So that's really great. We also have a rear light option if you're not using a fender. So let me just pull that off. Again, so easy to do. And grab the light from this bike here. Again, just pull those tabs, slide up, comes right off. And put that one on here, slide it on, it's magnetic, clamps on, boom. You've got a really nice bright taillight. And again, if you're riding at night, or heading to the trailhead, it's nice to have that illumination. Finally, we have the Monkey Link water bottle. So this bike came with the Monkey Link cage on it here. Well, it's a cageless system, really. There's a couple nubs here, and it's a magnetic. So basically, I just have to get it close, and I can basically just kind of throw it at the bike, and the bike the magnet just kind of grabs it on, and now it's super, super secure. Like, you can't pull that off unless you rotate it, and then it comes right off. So that rotating force is unlikely to happen while you're riding your bike, which means it's really secure, but super easy to get off. Just rotate it, pulls right off. Put it back on, slides right back on. If your bike doesn't come with this mounting, not a problem. You can buy the bottle with that mounting hardware. That mounts on any standard water bottle cage and makes it really, really secure. So that's the Monkey Link system. It's magnetic, mounts water bottle cage, lights, fenders, and can tie into the bike's power system from the Bosch drive unit. You can find more details on this on our website at citruscycles.ca. So I'm on my way to the trail. I haven't even hit the trail yet. I gotta say, I'm loving this bike.
suspension is incredible. Definitely noticeable difference between you know, the AM2 and the AM3 in terms of the suspension. It's just, it really is incredible. It just soaks up all the stones and everything on the trail here. Nice and smooth. It just makes you want to keep riding. I'll get onto the trail soon, but as I was heading there, I just had to put the camera on and say, wow, suspension is definitely incredible. Got a steep hill coming up here. I like to do tests on this hill with the bikes to make sure they can get up the hill without any problems. I don't anticipate any problems with the Botch CX drive here. We've got lots and lots of torque, 75 newton meters of torque. Torque is what you need to get up the hills. A lot of times people talk about the wattage of the motor, you know, but almost all of the motors will get you up to that 32 kilometers an hour legal limit in Canada for on-road usage. But it's the torque that's going to get you up the hills, not the wattage. So no problem powering up this hill. I didn't even have to go into my easier climbing gear to definitely conquer a lot steeper hills than this. And that's a good thing on a mountain bike, because you're going to encounter some pretty steep hills on some of the trails. So this isn't really a mountain bike trail. There will be some pedestrians, so I'll have to keep my speed down. But it's a fun little trail for big test rides on, and we'll see. Maybe I'll do an updated video later on some more challenging and technical trails. But even on here, I've ridden over quite a few routes, and that really highlights to me the how impressive the suspension is. That's where it really shines. Is, you know, the small bump compliance is really great. Just floats over everything, absorbs it really well. Got a stair bypass here. It's pretty soft, loose material. You've got a cliff on the right there, so this is one you got to be careful doing. And when you've got a bike like this with these quad piston Magura brakes, it's no problem. And again, this kind of terrain, it just works out really well with these the suspension, and these tires are doing a great job with grip. Get going pretty fast on this bike too, which is nice. A lot of times with full suspensions, you really feel that weight when you're not on the trail. It's interesting, I was curious with these tires being a 2.6 and instead of a 2.8, we're seeing a lot of the plus size. How will it handle on this gravel here? It's quite soft, and really I had no problems. It's still floating on it, and grip on these tires is incredible. It's great having the dropper post. Remember, it's there. I was doing some test rides yesterday on a little bike without them, and really missed having it. Yeah, a lot of fun coming down here, lots of control. The suspension is incredible. Tires are doing a really good job too. Okay, I've got a bit of a steep hill here with a lot of loose sand on it, so it's a good test. Of course, we need torque to get up the hill. That's what the Botch CX drive is providing. We need traction to not spin out on this loose gravel. That's what our tires are doing here, giving us lots of traction. The other challenge is the frame geometry. It needs to be right so you can get your weight over the front wheel to prevent lift from happening. And I think that's probably, for me at least, for this frame size, was the biggest challenge coming up there. Is there was a tendency for the front wheel to want to come up, and so I really had to make sure that I was transferring my power, or sorry, my weight to the front to make sure that I can make it up there. But I did, but it's definitely necessary to make sure that I've got that weight really forward. Once I did that, then I was able to climb a little bit better and found that my front wheel was staying glued to the ground. Do some more climbing on some rough logging roads here, and just to give you an idea of how well the suspension works and the tires. And certainly I'm definitely enjoying the suspension. Very cush, very comfortable, but also the bike handles really well. I put the Monkey Link fenders and light on, so the rear fender has a light. It's running off of the main battery, which is great. Put a front light on as well as the front fender. Both the fenders and the light clamp on magnetically and then have a locking mechanism. I've never had fenders so easy to put on or remove, which is great, because obviously you only want fenders on when you really, really need them. If you're riding to work or something like that. So it's nice that they're super easy to install and remove, and it's nice to have that light. The other cool thing is I'm not hearing any clacking. A lot of times with the plastic fenders, you know, they bob around a fair bit and get a lot of noise, and these are essentially silent. So far I'm really happy with the fenders, and of course the lighting is great to have as well, especially if you ride at night or into the fall and winter and it gets darker sooner. Having a lot of fun on these climbs. You know, and even though this bike was designed for, you know, probably more serious mountain biking trails, it works really well. It's a great bike for logging roads and things like this, because that suspension just gives you so much control. And I don't know if you can tell in the video here, but there's a lot of big stones in the trail, and you really don't have to worry about them with this bike. See if we have any water coming through the falls here yet. Just heading into fall off a really dry summer. So a little bit. Come back in another month. It should be pouring through there. That's the great thing about an e-bike, is you really can ride all year in adverse conditions. It's so much fun that I find that it doesn't bother me if it's raining, if it's cold. Doesn't matter the trail conditions. I just love to get out there and riding because it's so much fun. And I'm still getting a workout. You probably hear me huffing and puffing. It is quite the climb. And you know, you still have to work at it. The bike's not doing the work for you, but it's helping you enough that it makes it doable. So I'm actually making this video on my way home from work because I can, because this is kind of on my way home. Well, not really. I'm gonna turn around and come back the same way I came, but this part isn't on the way, but I'm gonna get back to the main trail. I'm heading home. And on a regular bike, you know, I'd just be too tired. But on an e-bike, I can really have this fun and just climb right up, even if I've only got 20 minutes, and have a really great ride. All right, and here we go back down, same way I came. Lots of fun. Going down is a little bit more fun than going up, but going up sure is a lot of fun as well. It's great having the dropper post, nice, very smooth action. There was a little bit of clanking from the front fender. That was the wiring comes above the fender there. So I may want to think about moving that to avoid it hitting the fender. Haven't heard that noise again. It's very effective though. So I've done this ride on a number of my bikes, and this has probably got to be the cushiest ride down that I've had so far. So really a bike with this suspension is really handy on logging roads like this that are covered in leaves. It's just that time of day, and with the leaf coverage, even though I know the trail pretty well, it's hard to see all the rocks that are hidden underneath. And so with the suspension, you don't have to worry about that. You can just fly right over them, and with these tires not having any slippage on the slippery rocks, which is nice, I could just kind of ride and have fun instead of having to worry too much about what's underneath these leaves. That was my first pedal strike. That was my fault coming around that corner there. Other than that one, that's pretty impressive. A lot of times I end up with more. It's quite a fast bike. I'd be curious to know if I switched to a 2.8 from a 2.6 tire, how that would impact on the handling. It's certainly very nimble, very fast, very agile. Might get a little bit more of a floatier kind of feeling with the 2.8s, but the suspension is really, you know, awesome. So we don't need anything from the tires by way of suspension. And certainly I'm getting tons of grip and traction, so that's not an issue either. All right, well, I could ride this bike all day. It's definitely a lot of fun, great bike to ride, but I better head home. So if you have questions, if I've missed anything, you want to come try it, head over to our website at citruscycles.ca.